GM. GM. So, Thursday, 11th of April. And let's do daily levels. So, this is really bullish. Yesterday, we had a strong show of weakness, right? So, well, actually, Tuesday going into Wednesday. So, obviously, Monday we pushed up, couldn't sustain it. Tuesday, we had a big red day. Wednesday started off choppy sideways, dipped lower on the higher inflation number, and then reversed, rallied all the way back up, flipped the bands back to green. They briefly flipped red, flipped them back to green to defend the 4 hour trend, holding and closing above 70k. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So, the main thing here is, here was one of the paths I was looking at yesterday when we were sitting around here. It was if we drop down and we take out 68k, and we have a choppy, grinding sideways, it's weak, it's unable to make it back up. That has been invalidated. When you have bearish or bullish patterns or paths that get invalidated, it's a strong sign. So this could still be a lower high, sure, but the strength of the reversal tells me it's not. It tells me there's real strength, like there's real underlying strength here, and that Bitcoin wants to at least go to these highs, if not to touch the all-time high, if not to break out. Now, are we ready to break out? Is it time for Bitcoin to actually have a breakout that sticks? Don't know. We could be weeks away from that. And so it might just lead to some consolidation. We grind up, we take those highs, and then we have to go back down, and more consolidations needed, and we go higher later. That's all possible too. The people shorting this right now are just, they're ignoring reality. Again, if this was going to be a weak move, and if Bitcoin was ready to unwind to range lows back to 65 or even to 60, it would have took that bad inflation number, air quotes. You heard my rant about inflation yesterday on the stream. It's not that important, not compared to other things like liquidity, and liquidity is fucking, I think it's 5-6 billion a day that the US are adding to their national debt. $6 billion a day. Yeah, it's going to be hard for any inflation number or blah 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 to really outpace that. The debt creation is enormous. Now, so you saw this on all across all the main markets. What you want to look at here is, where was price before the news drop, before the inflation figure dropped, which was over here, right? And then where is it after? So that was when the bad number came out. We had our initial dip down, ripped higher, all the way back up. Strong. Let's check some of the other risk markets. S&P. Not as much. Nasdaq. Holding range lows. Gold had a nice, well, gold didn't even dip at that time. Gold actually dipped down after, I believe, didn't it? Yeah, there was a slight delay. No, maybe I was looking at the wrong gold chart the other day. Gold is just consolidating after, obviously, a very strong run. Gold needs to probably pull back into its bands again and consolidate back in here. If you look at this, it's very similar to what Bitcoin was doing pre all-time high, but then gold started leading, right? So for all of this thrust higher on gold, Bitcoin has been down, basically down or sideways. The dollar reacted favorably to that inflation news, which I don't think makes a whole lot of sense. Obviously, anything can happen lower time frame. The dollar going up mostly is going to be based on other currencies getting weaker. But I wouldn't necessarily be a dollar bull It's okay to be a dollar bull over the euro or the pound or whatever, but against hard assets, it's just getting absolutely smoked. Um, and that's about it. It's about all that matters, really. So, anyway, regardless, Bitcoin has invalidated, like strongly invalidated, that initial bearish idea. So, I'm not long longing Bitcoin here, or I'm already long, spot long. I'm actually long Solana, which I'll talk about in Trade of the Day. I talked about it in the Swing Trader channel yesterday. But I think at worst this leads to more chop. Just chopping around in here, we might retrace that, we might chop around, but I think the old all-time high comes into play here, which is this red line, this 69. That's the previous all-time high from 2021. Then you got 70k round number, and like a really strong rejection of going below that. Every time it dipped below it, there was wicks, 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 wicks. Then we got the news. News event failures are some of the best setups. When you have bad news, or what should be bad news, and the market doesn't react in a bad way, that's a bullish sign. So, I think we go here, right? I think we take that high, or we take the all-time high at some point in the next couple of weeks or whatever, probably sometime between now and the halving. I don't think that it necessarily has to lead to, 90k, 100k on this push. We might have more chop to come. But when you just zoom out, I mean, wouldn't you want price to be consolidating below all-time high and above the previous all-time high, right? Above the 2021 all-time high, below the current all-time high, higher lows, retested 60, front ran 60 again, bands are stayed green, every time we dip below it's getting bought back up, and it's closing daily candles above it. Weekly's looking like this. I mean, that's at least gonna, like this weekly chart would at least make a new high. Now again, if it makes that new high, sells off, it definitely could. We also had over here, price looked great in this consolidation. Tried to go higher on the ETF launch, went back lower. It's not like we can't go lower. I'm talking as its daily levels. I'm talking on the lower time frames. To still be short here, or to be shorting again, I just think it's too soon. I think it's really easy for you to just get squeezed up to 73, and maybe then it drops off. But yeah, so a good sign there by Bitcoin yesterday in reversing. And we'll see. I guess the halving is, about 9 days away now, so it's going to be next Saturday. And the halving doesn't have a huge effect on price, in my opinion, or won't have a huge effect on price. I don't think. But there will be volatility around it. Yesterday's ETF flows were super low for Grayscale. 17 million. That's the lowest ever. Lowest outflow ever. Now, does it mean anything? I mean, we had this last week, where we had a few consecutive days of really low outflows, and people are like, oh, that's it. GBTC selling is done. They don't have any coins left that they want to sell, people in GBTC. And then they find more coins. 200 mil, 300 mil, 150 mil. So to see that, it's obviously good. It's less selling pressure, lower outflows. But I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a sign that GBTC or holders are finished dumping yet. We'll see. The rest of them just kind of BlackRock and Fidelity just ticking along. Some of the smaller ones just have taken nothing in for like 3 days in a row. Some of them in for I think Franklin Templeton have took nothing in for 5 days in a row, which is rough for them. But the ETFs are always going to be, it's just the 80-20 principle, right? The vast majority of ETF flows are going to come into BlackRock and Fidelity. Bitwise, which is here, ARK, which is here, they'll also do all right. The rest of them are just scrapping around and probably won't exist in a year from now. They'll probably just have to shut because they just won't attract enough AUM. And anything else? Overall, I think things are looking pretty good. Bitcoin dominance, check in on that. Bitcoin dominance just up at the highs here. Seems like it's just destined to push to new highs. Similar, very similar to what it did over here. It's just kind of grinding higher and higher and higher, as Bitcoin tends to command a lot of the flows coming in, and there's still a lot of focus on BTC pre-halving. So overall, pretty good. Again, I don't know if it's going to go straight up from here. I would actually like to see Bitcoin really lower its volatility now for a few days, where you want to see it stay in this area for several days. That can lead to a bigger breakout, right? If the volatility compresses, because we've had an increase of volatility. We had that push up, then quite a reversal day where it took out the lows of the previous 2 days. Then we had another sweep down, and then we reversed. So you want to see volatility decrease. You don't want to see it keep being wild. Like, I wouldn't like to see it go to 73 today necessarily. I'd like to see it stay and hold. You want to see it consolidate the returns from yesterday. So after the CPI, it had a nice reversal. You want to see Bitcoin consolidate. If it can spend a day or two here between 70 and 72, it's showing then that reversal was more likely to be a proper reversal and price is holding. That's exactly what you'd want to see. So that's it. GM. Today at 4 p.m. UTC, we'll do altcoin requests. See you then.